Jez. Okay, so what we're going to do then is we are going to, there you go, it started. Fantastic. Look at the 4 colour energies. I'm just going to recap on these because lots and lots of you have been through the colour energies and the insights introduction. So this should just be a recap for you. But what I really want to focus on through this little session is just to go take that one step further and look at how we can use the colour energies more positively in our interactions, and actually how we use the colour energies that are less of prominent for us in our interactions with other people. So let's just have a little recap then of the colour energies and how they show up generally for us in our everyday. So first of all, our cool blues. So when we're using our cool blue, we use caution. We're very precise. Deliberate, questioning and formal. So cool blue is all about the detail. It's all about people being very formal in the way that they interact with each other. And let's have an example really of people who generally live with cool blue in a business sense. So that would be people who deal with data a lot. So IT people, not that everybody in IT leads with cool blue. People who use data and spreadsheets, so finance people who are very, very much into that kind of focused, detail, very formal way of working. So what's next? Our fiery reds. Fiery red, competitive, demanding, determined, strong-willed and purposeful. So often people who are using their fiery red are at the top of the table. They're the people who are driving things forward, making sure that we know where we're going, the direction that we're moving in and how we get there. So it's very much kind of about being that sort of control person, but again, quite formal in the way that they approach things, but very direct, which can be really useful. So next one, sunshine yellows. Sociable, dynamic, demonstrative, enthusiastic and persuasive. So this is the Tigger in the room. These are the people that will kind of, you'll always notice when somebody who leads with sunshine yellows in the room, because they're there. So you'll notice that I can't sit still even in this session, even at my desk. I'm actually quite active. And it's no surprise to most people who know or work with me that my lead colour energy is sunshine yellow. So very persuasive in the way they do them. Sunshine yellows are the people that will get you to do something that you never thought you'd ever be able to do. That's us. Okay, and last but by no means least is our earth green. So earth greens are the huggers in the room, not necessarily physical huggers, but certainly emotional huggers. So they are caring, encouraging, sharing, patient and relaxed. So very much the calming voice in the room. And people who use a lot of earth green like to make sure that everybody's involved, very values-based and values-driven. So these kind of things are very, very important to them. And when they're threatened, they're not so kind. They don't take these things so kindly. So it's really important just to recap on the kind of the good day colour energies, how we show out and what they really mean. So let's take that a little bit a step forward. So let's look at how we can make ourselves more amiable, more make these connections more purposeful and useful with other people. And this is about taking us all out of our comfort zone and learning to, one, recognise what colour energies are coming at us. So I'm having a conversation with somebody and I'm kind of not really quite understanding why we're not maybe understanding each other. We're not getting it. And we're both kind of hammering away at the same place, but not getting there. And that's about me then recognising what colour energy is coming at me and how I can dial that colour energy up to ensure that communication, that moment in our work life, that meeting goes a lot more smoothly and we get a better connection. So let's first look then at how we can interact more appropriately and more successfully with people who lead with cool blue, when you've got that cool blue energy coming at you. So let's just have a look at these then. So the first one, slow down. People who lead and use a lot of cool blue energy like to slow down. They like the quiet, that kind of quiet and peaceful approach to work. Maintain a more formal posture when you're talking with your cool blues, because that's what they get on with. They can understand that and it means things. It's much more appropriate for them in an interactive way. Slow down. The second thing with cool blues, Okay, and that's about tidy up. It's not just about tidying up your desk, your workspace, your filing system. It's about tidying up your mind and how you approach things when you're interacting with people who use a lot of Cool Blue. It makes it easier for you to easily find the information and the perspective that they want from you. So tidy up. The next one with Cool Blue is structure. If you are interacting with somebody who leads with a lot of Cool Blue or is using a lot of Cool Blue, you need to be able to present your ideas really clearly and with structure. Cool Blue's like a spreadsheet. Cool Blue's like a nice chart or a graph to understand exactly the information that they're getting. And it's a way that they can get on with it. They can see it visually and they can work with it. So be quite structured about how you interact with that particular individual at that particular time. And then finally, with Cool Blues, think. When we go through the introduction session, we talk about think before you speak and speak before you think. Okay, absolutely always with that more formal structured Cool Blues, think before you speak. Organize your thoughts first, calm yourself down. So it's very much a kind of a calming, organized, detailed information, the way that you can easily communicate. Dial up your Cool Blue to make sure that that connection with somebody who leads with Cool Blue is really much more effective. Who's next? Fiery red. Okay, fiery red. Anybody that's kind of really works with somebody who uses a lot of fiery red, this should resonate with you quite readily. So when you're interacting with somebody who uses a lot of fiery red and you need to dial yours up, okay, what you're going to be looking at is standing tall. So I kind of call it the Peter Pan look. Yeah, get your hands on your hips. Metaphorically, you don't have to stand there and do it. Okay, hands on your hips, but stand tall. If you stand tall, you automatically lift your chest up, and that exudes confidence. So the fiery red that you're discussing this matter with or having a meeting with starts to get you. They kind of go, oh, actually, yeah, no, I understand that. I understand that body language. I understand that confidence. So that's the first thing with our fiery reds. Secondly, attention. Okay. When you're interacting with somebody who uses a lot of fire red energy, the focus has to be at the task at hand. You must give it all of your attention. So for those people like me who are sunshine yellow, a little bit out there, oh, there's something shiny over there. Absolutely not. If you're interacting, you want to get the best out of that fiery red, excuse me, it's all about attention. Make sure that you know what you're doing and know what you're saying. Third point, dialing up, action. So when using your fire red energy, you need to be moving with the action. You need to connect to the objectives, outputs, priorities, and be moving. Okay, so there's no procrastination. I've got everything I need. And what my colleague in the fiery red corner is saying is that, come on, let's go, let's move to action. So it's about that prioritizing what you're doing and how you're doing it. Okay, last but by no means least, dialing up your fiery red. This can be really difficult for some people, and it's really important. And sometimes you'll get this back from somebody using fiery red. They will say to you, let's leave the emotion aside for now. Okay, excuse me, that's the lurgy. Try to be more objective. Try to get more facts in there. How do I take the emotion out and move to facts? Okay, what do I know is true and factful? It's not about what I feel, it's more about what I know. So that will get you a better interaction with your fiery reds. Okay, let's look then at our friendly sunshine yellows. How do we get the best out of sunshine yellow? Excuse me. And help. Okay, so smile. Everybody smile. Yeah, we can all do it. We do it. And even if you don't feel like smiling sometimes, just smile. Okay, what that does, certainly with somebody who leads with sunshine yellow, it invites them to connect with you. Yeah, try it. Try not to grimace, because a smile is not quite the same as a really beaming smile. So make sure that your smile is genuine. Smile with both your eyes and your mouth. And it makes you quite amiable then to sunshine yellows to kind of go, oh, this person gets me because they're smiling back at me. So it's about giving back what you get. The second thing with our sunshine yellows is be curious. Sunshine yellows kind of want to know everything, a little bit about everything. Ask open questions. It's not always about the fact and the detail. Ask an open question to a sunshine yellow and they will absolutely open up that dialogue for you. It can be a bit chatty, but it does give them the opportunity to give you everything that you might need. So it makes sure that everybody is involved, and it also invites new ideas. So even if you are kind of quite focused on what your task is, you might be very detailed about what you're doing. You may not have thought about a new idea that somebody leading with sunshine yellow will open up for you. So absolutely dial up that curiosity in yourself and give it back to the sunshine yellows. The next one is be open. So when you're dialing up that sunshine energy, you really, really need to try to open yourself up to other ideas, not be too focused, not be too formal, but make sure that it's open and honest, and that you are showing that you are open to these ideas. You may discount them. It may not be in the plan. It may not be in the budget. But if you listen to them and stay open to them, at least what you get from your sunshine yellows is somebody's actually listening to me. They may not take my idea forward, but actually I'm being valued there. So that's really good. Okay, and the fourth thing that you need to dial up when you're trying to dial up that sunshine yellow is enthusiasm. Come on, guys, let's get on with it. Yeah, be expressive, get involved. And again, you know, I am never ashamed of being sunshine yellow. I live with sunshine yellow, and that's me all along. So even if it's the worst day in the world, let's try and be enthusiastic about it. Let's say what we can do, not necessarily what we can't do. And that means you'll get the best out of your sunshine yellows and actually dial it up for a little bit for yourselves. So where do we go now? Last but by no means least, as always, is our lovely earth greens. So how do you dial up some of that earth green energy? Is again looking at the sort of the left hand side of the wheel. So our earth greens and our cool blues have a preference for introversion. So be a little bit more informal. Okay, less confrontational, slow the pace down a bit, and just be a little more amiable to what an earth green is giving you, and try and dial that up for yourself, because it feels quite nice as well. Is if you are less formal, allow yourself to be less formal. That's you dialing up that earth green energy and trying to just slow things down a little bit. Sometimes it helps. Second, listen. Practice actively listening. This is you dialing up earth green, actively listening. Give your full attention to others and their needs and their concerns. It may be that you've got a job to do. It may be that we need to do it now, but sometimes, just sometimes, you need to dial up that lovely earth green energy, listen, be attentive to somebody, and you'll see that they will approach you in a wholly different way. It might mean that you'll just step that one step further to get into your own goals. So just take that minute to listen and give your full attention to them. Number 3, breathe. Take a breath. Unfold your arms. So unlike Peter Pan's, okay, when we're dialing up that fiery red, you need to relax, open up, open your arms, pay attention, use the whole of your body to be sensitive to what is happening in front of you. Actually take that moment to do that. And then you can try to just embrace the body calm a little bit, be present in that moment. Sometimes it's not all about, you know, the finishing line. Sometimes it's about looking at the way that we get to the finishing line and embracing that along the way. So it's all about just take a breath, just breathe easy and try to relax a little bit more. And that can be difficult for some people because they're really frenzied and really at it. But when you're dialing up that earth green, that's absolutely what you should be striving for. And last but by no means least, when we're dialing up that earth green energy, okay, values. Now, this should resonate with everybody in the company because we are a values driven company. So many people join this business because we are values driven. So when you are absolutely living those values, remember you are actually dialing up your earth green energy. It's really important. We need to focus on the core values. both for the business and for other people as well. And consider how your actions are in line with other people's values, whether they be your values personally or the values that we all strive to for the business. Really, really important going forwards. So I hope that that's given you a bit of an idea about how we can dial up each of the colour energies and make them really positive in our connections as we go forward. So what really does that achieve with us? So in essence, the message to you all is to do unto others as they would be done unto. It's really, really important that what we're looking at is trying to shift our behaviour, adapt our behaviour and our communication style. And let's face it, if we both do that, so if I'm having a conversation with somebody who leads with my opposite colour, which was somebody who leads with cool blue energy, if I shift a little bit, if I shift 5% of my behaviour and adapt to that cool blue energy, and that cool blue energy dials up their sunshine yellow 5%, absolutely brilliant. That conversation is going to go better, it's going to be more productive, and absolutely it's going to be a winner. So it's really important that you try to keep these things in mind and then make sure that you do your detective work, find out what's coming at you and give it back. And one of the greater messages is absolutely, so if you get an introduction on an email, if you're given a lovely greeting, then send one back. If you don't get a greeting, then don't send one back because it's not expected. So if you're having an interaction, for instance, with somebody who is really dialing up their fiery red on a day, and it just says, Andrea, I need this now, please. Great. I will send back and say, Jez, here it is. Thank you. No problem with that whatsoever. And I think what you'll find is that if you give what you're given, everybody's happy. We get the job done and it makes us much more productive. And essentially, it uses those colour energies in a way that the business is absolutely invested in us to do so. And it does the business good all round. So I hope that has made some sense to you guys. There's been, I can hear the chat pinging, Jez.
Yeah, Andrew, you've done really well. Let me help you by managing the questions for you.
Please do.
So Kate Smith asked about having a copy of the slides, and I explained that we need a practitioner to go through them. But what I did say is that she could be cheeky and speak to you about maybe sharing it with her team and doing something that way instead.
Absolutely. Yep. Always an option.
Tracy May asked a question around, does your dominant colour change over time?
You can, your preference for your lead colour energy can change. It's unusual and unlikely. Mostly that would happen if you have a massive life-changing experience. It can shift a little bit, and your colour preferences may up and down. But that's mostly due to your life experiences. So, for instance, having children can actually massively affect how you behave, and more so at home than it does at work. But mostly they don't change too much.
Okay, excellent. And I would concur with that. I think sometimes what you see is a job change forces you to change your behaviour and your colour at work. It isn't really changing your inside colour, for want of a better phrase, because that is you. You're just dialing something different up in a job. That covers off Liz's kind of question and point. Mark Sainsbury asked if you can be a mix of two colours.
Absolutely. So if you're a creative type, so if you've done the introduction session, you're a creative type, what that means is that your two lead colours are opposites. So for instance, you may lead with red, but your next colour is green, and that makes you a creative type. The only real difference with that for other people meeting you and interacting with you is that you don't, it's not always clear what your lead colour energy is, because you can switch between the two. So it does make you a little bit more interesting to try and work out which lead colour energy you lead with, but it's not impossible. But it's definitely a thing. Only 9% of the population have a creative type, which means that their first and second colour energies are totally opposite.
Cool, brilliant. Lenka raised a good point, and I know where she's coming from on this one, around it would be nice to display people's colour in order to let people know how to communicate effectively. I think in the olden days it was you were given a set of bricks and you had them on your desk so you could kind of look at it, but obviously that doesn't happen anymore. I think what Lenka's asking is there any ideas, or could it be looked at? Maybe it's something to take back for Bob about
it's coming on
colours.
Bob. So it's actually an item on Bob, so it will be available for everybody to see. There are some people who've got it on a signature, on their email signature, and I know Lenka's asked about it. I don't know where that came from. It's obviously
No,
pre my
neither do
time,
I.
so we could look into it, but it is absolutely on Bob.
Cool. I think we should stick to Bob then, because we need to use Bob. There's a few more comments where people were actually feeding into each other, not necessarily needed to. Tracy May talked about the colours on the post, but obviously that's going to change because it will be on Bob. And then Kate had another question, which was, is it the unconscious colour or the conscious colour, oh my god, I'm going to trip over now, that we should pay the most attention to? Mine are different. I am obviously confused, and the confused bit was Kate, not me, although I am also confused.
Okay, so you're conscious and you're less conscious. So conscious is what you bring to work. So if you're looking at your interactions at work, then absolutely, it's what you dial up. It's the way that you show out at work. It's when you look in the mirror in the morning and you see you trotting off to work, whether you're trotting off to the study or the bedroom or wherever it is that you do work. That's the one that we're talking about here. Your less conscious is more reactive, so you have less control over that, because it's kind of you in your onesie at home. So the one that you can affect more in reality is your conscious, and that's the one that you bring to work. That's the one that you answer the evaluator for bringing to work.
Brilliant. Had a question from Amanda Wakeling around, can people take their insights test again when theirs was taken quite a while ago? I'll help you out on that one. Obviously, it does incur a cost, and I know it shouldn't always be about cost, but obviously we are in the year of consolidation and being careful with our spend. What we will often do is, if someone has a dramatic job change or they're going on to one of our leadership programs, we would redo it then. I don't think we would not deal with a case-by-case basis. So perhaps if Amanda, if you wanted to drop Andrea an email, she could look at that for you.
The normal sort of average time is about 3 years. So the business generally say that if it's less than 3 years old, it's current.
Brilliant. I think that might answer Paul Sheridan's question about how can we retake it. Unless I'm sadly mistaken, I think, Paul, you probably haven't been with us for 3 years yet, unless I've got that horribly wrong. And if I have, I've just taken my foot out of my mouth.
Right. I started and 3 years ago left and came back, which
okay.
But didn't do it when I returned. So.
Okay, well, if you wait, if it's been 3 years, then yes, I'm happy to say that you can do that one again. So if you drop Andrea an email, she'll organise that for you.
Thanks,
and
Jess.
Then we've got some nice comments. Mark Sainsbury saying thank you. James Drain said, is it reasonable to think that you might change throughout the day, fatigue, stress, tiredness? And I think I'm getting from, I know it, because if you are dialing up your persona at work, that takes your energy. So
absolutely, yeah. So it can change, but the likelihood is that you will still perform in the same way that you would generally. If you slip, for want of a better word, into your less conscious persona, it's not even a slip, it's just you. So fatigue, I'm not really, does it help? You are exhausted, but you will still always use the preference that is most handy to you. So if your leaf color is earth green, then, and you have to dial up some fiery red at some stage, yes, it's exhausting, but it's unlikely. There are very few people that have to dial up radically to do their job every day, unless it's a conscious choice. So I always tell people about, excuse me, meeting a person who had very little Cool Blue but did finance for a living, always wanted to do it, and massively dialed up Cool Blue every day for work. Must have been exhausting, but they did.
And then finally, and I was laughing not at you, but at the comments where James and Gary are talking about insights in real time. Gary has been very polite and put his hand up and then let me know that he's had his hand up, and also referred to me as sir, which I think everybody should. So Gary, would you like to ask your question? Wonderful. Thank you for allowing me on the floor. Okay, so I get that, and it's been really, really helpful. I get the I'm a yellow when I'm interacting with a red, and a red is saying, well, just very direct, but you know, just it's just got to be done. It's got to be done. I struggle personally, and I don't know if it's something you know, we need to take offline, but I struggle personally sometimes with that, as in it's not my nature. I'm yellow. I can't just, you know, and I find that a challenge, which is healthy, and I like it. But I then sort of, oh God, you know, so yeah, is there any just sort of direction for that, or any sort of, you know, because, you know, there are a few reds about, and as a yellow, I know that myself and some of my team do struggle with that.
It's yeah, thanks for that, Gary. It is a struggle, but it's about learning to dial up. The other part of this is as I said right at the very end there, this isn't a one-way street. So no. Absolutely, you are very sunshine yellow, and we love you for that. And I can absolutely appreciate that you get on maybe a fiery red bad days sometimes, because you are the front. You know, you're the people at the front of the desk. However, using a lot of fiery red is no excuse for rudeness. So absolutely, I would challenge that. And if you challenge that by addressing that rudeness, actually what you're doing is totally dialing up your fiery red there and then. There it is. And okay, it's more comfortable to challenge it in your own way than it is to maybe give back what you're getting.
Yeah. Because again, at reception, we're a very central function, and we get all the colours. And you know, amongst ourselves, sometimes we're like, must be blue, you know, or oh, that's a bit red, you know. We talk in that quite a lot, just amongst us in our little hub, you know. But yeah. Okay, all right, lovely, thanks for that.
Brilliant. And I'm going to wrap it up with the last one. I think it's more of a statement. So Stephen Haynes has said that he doesn't have any blue less consciously, and he is in finance. He feels himself, and he's just developing to be more blue and using less energy the more I work. So I think that's kind of nice that you've got that self-awareness there as well. Fabulous. So I'm thinking of time. This has been really good, Andrea, and I think just judging by the amount of comments and questions shows how well you did. Thank you for joining in. Guys, everything will be filmed and then shared on a YouTube playlist next week of all learning and work. Drop in any comments you want for Andrea, because it's nice for her to see those. And then we will release you ready to carry on with the rest of your days. Well done, Andrea. You did a really good job.
Thanks, everybody.
Cheers.
You know where I am.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks.